Hello, and welcome to another episode of U Dash, the Utah football show on Dash Sports. I'm Cole Bagley, your host for today's show, and I'm joined by the editor of the Daily Utah Chronicle, my co-host for the show today, Sammy Mora. How are you doing, Sammy?
I'm good, Cole. How are you?
Oh, another show. Excited to be here.
For sure. So we're just gonna jump right into it today. So is Utah do you think Utah's more of a football school or more of a basketball school, Cole?
Oh, I think this is easy. I think it's more of a football school. What about you, Sammy?
It's football, hands down. There's so many reasons why. I think we all know my stance on Larry Kristoviak as a coach. He just doesn't get it done for me. Utah basketball, I am not if someone was like, "Here, let's watch. Would you rather watch a Utah football game or a Utah basketball game?" I'm gonna pick the football game hands down 9 times out of 10. They're just more entertaining, and Utah football is just insane, and I love it.
Absolutely, Sammy. The thing for me here is it's a high level program versus a smaller program. For the 2019 Utah Athletics report on their revenues, they generated $19 million, the athletic program did. Utah football accounted for 16 million of the 19 million. And they were up 1.4 million from the previous year, while men's and women's basketball only combined for 2.25 million, and they were down about 400,000 from the previous year. Now, you do have to take into account that Rice Eccles is a lot bigger than the Huntsman Center, but they're selling out Rice Eccles Stadium every football game, every home game. That stadium is alive. They're roaring. The muss is there. They're standing the whole game. The alumni are in their seats. They're rocking out. And you just don't get that at the basketball games.
Also, the athletic department announced last year that for this upcoming basketball season, they're not even selling tickets for the upper bowl. That says a lot about a basketball program if you're not even of your 15,000 person venue, you're cutting off the top half so that no one can sit there. That's not good. I think Utah fans are more intrigued with the future of Utah football than with Utah basketball. Larry Kristoviak has had some really good recruiting classes. I will give him that. But at the end of the day, he hasn't been able to get a lot done with those recruiting classes.
Yep. So the probably the best year of his coaching career, it was probably back in either 2015 or 2016. He had Jakob Pertl, and then he had as well Kyle Kuzma, two of probably the best players to put on a Utah uniform. But in the last 10 years, the basketball program has only made the NCAA tournament twice in the last 10 years. That cannot be the case if you're going to be considered a really serious basketball program. And for Utah football, they've been able to be ranked in the top 25 in 8 of the last 10 seasons. And Utah basketball hasn't even cracked the top 25 since 2016. And before that, I believe it was 2009.
Yeah, and also look at the draft picks. The basketball team has had 3 in the last 10 years to Utah football's 39. Now, I understand there's a lot more positions that you have to draft for in the NFL, and there's a lot more guys on roster, but still, it's Utah football. Utah's a football school. Utah will be a football school until we can get something turned around, or we could maybe be a hybrid school, maybe be both. That would be fun too. I would love to see a successful Utah football and Utah basketball team. That would be ideal.
Yeah, to see something kind of like Oregon's program where, both programs are doing extremely well, competing for Pac-12 championships and then, going far inside the NCAA tournament. But I think the difference here for me, Sammy, is in the coaching staff. You've got Kyle Whittingham, who has just been fantastic in his years as head coach. They were able to really rise to the top of the Mountain West, and then joining the Pac-12. There was a few years that it was a struggle for him, but he has gone above and beyond, risen above, and for the last 2 seasons has been competing for Pac-12 championships with the football roster. While Larry, on the other hand, with the basketball program, it's just kind of been a joke for me the last couple of years. I mean, we've had some good players here and there, but we lost several players to transfer this last season. And so it's obvious to me that something is not right with the basketball program, and everything is right with the football program.
Yeah, and I also think it goes back to, like you said, Booth Gotch transferred out of the program this year. That was a huge loss for this team. But one thing I will say about Utah basketball is that they exceed my expectations like a good chunk of the time, because with them not being so hot in the Pac-12, my expectations are usually a little bit lower. So last year they went to Vegas and they beat Kentucky. Blew my mind. That was fantastic. But then as the season went on, it was just letdown after letdown. And the thing is like when Utah football loses, I get devastated and distraught. But when Utah basketball loses, I just kind of shrug it off, because we're not a basketball school. We're not known for that. Utah's known for putting running backs, defensive linemen, and secondary players into the NFL. We're not known for putting the next great forward into the NBA.
Well, it just makes me question the recruiting program for basketball, because Kyle Whittingham has gone out and he's dug. He's found, and we've touched on this in previous shows. He's found the 3 stars and some 2 stars, and he's turned those guys into phenomenal players, and even players that have gone to the next level and played in the NFL. And the basketball program, 3 draft picks in the last 10 years, opposed to the 39 that football has produced, and we had 7 last year with 5 free agent signings with football. Hands down, Sammy, I think it's easy to say the University of Utah is a football school.
Yeah, and going with recruiting is Larry loves to get those flashy 4 and 5 star recruits. He loves that. But also, look, Utah lost one of those 4 and 5 star recruits this year. He got out of his NLI, and now he goes to BYU. So if you can't keep recruits in your program, if you can't keep players on the court, you're not going to be able to win games.
Yeah, the guy did have to cut his hair to go to BYU, and Utah did beat BYU this last year. So we'll see how things turn out. But BYU historically has had just a better program, in the last 10 years or so, and they did the right thing. They got rid of a coach that had been there for a while, that had produced some good seasons, but they understood that everything has its season. It was his time to leave, and they've replaced him with, I believe it was the Utah Valley University head coach. Mm-hmm. It's time for the basketball program to do that. Now, they are in some financial issues. It would be tough to get rid of Larry as of right now, but I am hoping that as soon as his contract is up, they're starting over. They're starting from scratch, and we do see maybe football and basketball start to level out a little bit. But I will say I would much rather have the University of Utah be a football school than a basketball school, and I think that's what we've got here.
Yeah, Utah football is the moneymaker here. Utah football brings in the bread. We have notoriety in the football world. It's not as big as schools like USC or Oregon, but we still have that notoriety. Utah is known for being one of the original BCS busters. That's something that's huge. And until the basketball program can actually make a huge impact and make it to the tournament and make a run in the tournament, I don't think this is even it's not even an argument. It's Utah's a football school. Utah could also be considered a gymnastics school. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, I think you have every reason to throw that out there, Tammy. But just one last thing here on this subject. I don't think people really understand how much football means to the University of Utah, to Utah fans. The University of Utah is almost like an NFL team. They almost have an NFL following as far as the state of Utah goes. People love the Utes. They show up with their faces painted, and the alumni are constantly re-signing their season tickets, and it's a fantastic venue. And I don't think Utah football gets enough respect, but they are a football school.